morning, depending on what time you're looking at this video. This is our first session on getting familiar with the sewing machine and getting ready to take this journey to sew. Some of the things you're going to need, of course, is a sewing machine. You're going to need a spool of thread, and at this point it can be any color. It doesn't matter because we're just going to do some samples and some practice techniques. So you want to get a type of thread, preferably Coats and Clark, just a simple sewing thread, no special threads. You don't need that at this point. And I have here a Coats and Clark, and I usually take the sticker off of it so I can put it onto my machine. And as you can see, this one initially had a sticker on it, and the sticker lets you know it's Coats and Clark. And I usually take the sticker off, but I hold on to the sticker in case it's a color that I run out of and I need to get more of that color. Then there's a number on here, and the number on this one is ART 210. So I would go to Coats and Clark and look for this color. Okay, so there are different types of sewing machines. I'm really not sure what type you have, so we're going to zero in on this one. This is an electronic machine. Now, here's how you know the difference between an electronic machine and a manual machine. Electronic machine, you dial up whatever you want, and it comes up digital like this. I put in 08, it comes up digital. On this machine, it has a little guide to let me know exactly what stitch I'm getting when I put this in. So this one, 01, is usually going to be your straight stitch. Also, if you have a computerized machine, look for this guide. Okay. Number two, you want to take a look at some of the other options. For example, this one here has an arrow going right and left. This is a German-built machine. It's a Pfaff, so it's going to be different from a Singer. Singers are a lot simpler, but because I do a lot of professional sewing, I need a high-tech machine. So when I press this button going this way, it's moving the needle on my machine. You don't have to really be concerned about that right now until we get into some more detailed sewing. When it blinks, usually it means you're at the normal stitch. But this one you have to get familiar with. It's called a stitch length. Basically, you can make your stitches longer, which is what we call a basting stitch. That you're going to draw that when you're working to make gathers, things like that, or make it smaller. On almost every machine, regardless if it's computerized or manual, you want to set it at 2.5 or 2.5 is a normal stitch length. Okay, so you got some options here. You have a cone holder, which is a cone thread holder. This is for bigger cones of thread, like this one here, and this is the type I use. And this would thread through here and then through the machine, but you won't need that. What you have is on your machine. Your machine's going to have this type of setting, either laying down or sticking up. It doesn't matter. For the sake of this video, I'm going to show you both. So I put my thread on here. And the key to threading the machine is to look at the way the machine is set up. Every machine is going to have this hook pretty much, which can be used for either threading a machine or threading a bobbin. In this case, first thing we're going to do is we're going to thread the machine. I'm going to show you. I grab it at both ends to tighten it so that I can just slip into spaces like this. And see, this hand, I'm allowing it to go through my right hand, but it's going under what is called your tension. This is where the machine starts to tighten the thread so that it gives you the right stitch. And usually most machines now, unless it's a very old one, they've got a little slot that you go down and around. Okay, I'm going to show you that again. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put it through this one. Go back through my tension. I'm coming down and back up. And this is right here what you call a take-up lever. I'm going to show you another technique. This is your flywheel. This is the wheel that most machines have, that when you turn it manually, it takes that lever up and down and the needle up and down. So again, you're going to put your thread on the thread holder, the thread post. You're going to go back through that first hook or tension on your machine, depending on whether it's here or in the back of your machine. And then there is a very unique looking circular metal piece here. This is for the tension towards your bobbin. You're going to look at the direction on here, and the direction says it's coming here and wrapping around. So I'm going to take my thread in that direction. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to come around. And you're going to take your bobbin and put it on this post here. Now some of you, your post would do this. For others of you, you might have to untighten your wheel. There's a little, you hold the wheel and turn it. And I'm going to show you that on a different machine. But what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of that thread around here, and I'm going to wrap it by hand, okay, so that it doesn't come off. And then I'm going to use my presser foot, and voila, it'll start to wind the bobbin for me automatically. Now, if you got a really old machine, you might have to guide your bobbin, and this is how I guide it, by holding it kind of snug and guiding where it's going. But most machines, it's going to wind evenly. Don't make your bobbin so full that it starts to affect the way your machine sews. For in this case, I'm only just putting a little on here to show you, okay? You're going to clip it off. If your machine snaps this way, you're going to pull it back. Take your bobbin out. This is what you call a set-in bobbin machine, because being an electronic machine, your bobbin just sets in. But you want your thread going counterclockwise. As you can see, it's counterclockwise. I'm going to put the thread in here, and I'm going to follow the arrows for this machine. And again, this is a pretty advanced machine, so I'm going to show you on another one as well. Okay, and then I'm going to put the bobbin in. You're going to set your bobbin in place, and you're going to go around wherever the arrows say to go on your machine, because all machines are different. Okay, and this is a pretty advanced machine. And you're going to make sure, now once you have your needle threaded, you use your turn wheel on your machine, and you're going to turn it towards you. And now watch what it does to your needle when you turn the machine towards you. It takes the needle down, and the needle picks up that bobbin thread to form a stitch. And all you got to do is pull like that. And believe me, you got it to come through. It's already through. And so here's how you know if it's right. And then I'm going to go back and thread my machine. So remember the process. We go through that, around your tension, down, up, around that take up lever, and come down. Go behind that guard post and behind this one. And then you are going to thread it. Mine goes from the front to the back. All right. You just take a piece of fabric of any sort, and you're going to lower your presser foot. You lower this, it lowers down the needle so that you can sew. And then you tend to just, let it flow through this hand, and I got it with this one. And as you can see, this machine is making a stitch. Now, on a lot of machines, it's different. Some machines cut your thread for you. I'm old-fashioned. I pull it out, and notice my needle's in the up position, because if you're in the down position, it would be very hard to pull on. I pull it out and I clip it. And you take a look at your thread, and you can tell if your machine is sewing right, because on both sides it's going to look really flat and even. And in this case, it is definitely sewing correctly. Now, if you have your machine on 2.5, that's a regular stitch. But I'm going to show you what happens with the basting stitch, which is a longer stitch. I'm going to put this on the longest stitch that's possible. And again, I'm going to show you the same thing on a manual machine versus electronic. And I'm doing the same. As you can see, it's coming through on this straight line much faster now. And I lift up my lever, and I clutch. And if you can see very closely, this stitch is much longer. And in fact, watch this. If I try to pull on the first stitch I did, it's kind of difficult to pull on it. Okay? But the second stitch, if I take that thread and pull it, it just pulls easily, because that's what you use your basting for gathers and stuff that you're not going to keep together permanently. Okay? So let's go over to my manual machine and let's do the same. Okay? Most manual machines have a bobbin that sets in underneath your machine, a metal case usually, and that case looks like this. This is, for some reason, people get really afraid of this. I don't know why. It's a really simple piece, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So you're going to put your thread on, and in this case, this machine, my thread comes out sideways here. All right, so I'm going to put that on here. And the tension on this machine is right here. It's just shaped differently. So I'm going to go up underneath it, and then I'm going to go around, down, up. Don't forget to turn your wheel so you can get that take-up lever up, up, and over that. And then you're going to go down. And in this case, it doesn't have a whole lot of take-up levers here, so you're going to put this through where the needle is. Okay, let me turn the machine on so you can see. And then again, this one threads from the front to the back. Pull your thread through. Now, you need to wind your bobbin. Here again, same type of mechanism up here. Bobbin goes in. Some of your bobbins have to fit in a slot. They have a little slot in them, and there's a little slot on the bobbin holder, and you want the two to fit. You can tell the difference. That's not on right. That is. Okay? Turn it out here again. Now on this one, I actually have to loosen the flywheel, which is a good thing. Okay? So we're going to loosen this flywheel on this side by holding it and turning this toward me, and that loosens the flywheel so this doesn't move over here. Okay, so let's put this thread back on, and this time I'm getting ready to do this thread for the bobbin, and I know what I'm doing because I've read the instructions to this machine. So if your machine is different, I'll need you to take a picture of it, and I can show you how to wind your bobbin. Again, I'm wrapping some bobbin on here. My wheel is loosened. And then I'm going to go. Alright, so I got a little bit of bobbin on here. Pull it back into place. Put my wheel back in place. And you'll know it's in place because this will start moving. Okay. Now, once again, bobbin going counterclockwise. Put the bobbin into this bobbin holder. Hold it like this. Grab your thread. Take your thread through the slot and pull it under like that. Okay, I'm going to show you one more time. Okay, put this in here counterclockwise. Put the thread through the slot and pull it under. You're set to go. Now you're going to put this back in here. It's very important to know how your bobbin fits in the machine. This little latch right here, a lot of people hold on to this latch so that the bobbin doesn't come out. You can do that. But when you put this in here, that bobbin latch has got to fit into that hole right there. So I have it here, and I push it in, and it's all done. Okay? I'm going to do this one more time. I'll take it out for you. Okay? I have this here. I'm going to hold it, push this in, like that. Okay? Now, I'm going to take this here and thread my machine again, around under my tension, up, down, right here. But what you're going to do now, which is very important, is take your wheel and go down, turn it toward you, and when you turn it towards you and turn it one turn so it goes completely, lift up on the thread. Look what it does. It takes that bobbin thread and it brings it right on up. So you can put this all behind you, and then you're going to sew. So let's look at this machine. I'll take off of the special foot so I don't confuse you. Put your regular foot on. Okay. Okay, so now we're just going to sew a regular stitch, 2.5. This is my stitch dowel in this case here. So 2.5 on this one. Up here I have it on 0, so my needle's not out of position. But see, this is how you move your needle on this one. On the other machine, you just dial it. Or you got these as well. Okay, but I'm making everything zeros and centered. And then I'm just sewing. Okay. I turn my wheel to bring my needle up. Turn it towards you to bring your needle up. That's a regular stitch. Basting is going to be all the way up here toward the end. The highest number I could dial. Now watch the difference. Okay, turn my needle to turn this up. And there's a big difference in the way this thread is done. This is a much tighter stitch that if I try to pull it and gather it, it's still very hard to do. Versus this one that just gathers right away. So what I want you to do is practice with some scraps of fabric. Get used to threading your machine this week and making fun stitches. Just play with some of the stitches. If you want to see how zigzag works, on this machine you dial it up as a zigzag, and you're going to change your needle width so that the needle will be doing what you need it to do. I'm going to put it back on the regular stitch. Now watch this with the machine. See, it starts going on a zigzag, okay? If I want the zigzag closer together, I just go down and dial down my stitch count much smaller, tighter stitches. And as you can see, tighter stitches come closer together. I can keep on going down until I almost reach 0. Or I could go all the way down here into what is called a buttonhole stitch or satin stitch. And they're very close together. So I'm going to take this out so you can see the difference in my stitch width. That's the difference. Okay. Practice with it a bit. Don't worry about all the other fancy stitches right now because you're not going to be doing any of those right away. We're going to learn to do your regular stitches. If you're a little advanced and you got this quickly, one thing you can do is get a piece of fabric and practice sewing on the 5/8 inch seam line. So what you're going to do is look for the numbers. It says 5/8. Most machines have that because all patterns are 5/8 of an inch in terms of the stitch. And try to keep your fabric, let me change my settings, straight stitching. Try to keep your fabric lined up with that 5/8. And you don't have to be in a hurry. Take your time. Practice makes perfect. Okay. Let's say I want to sew one now on the 1/2 inch line. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to line my fabric edge up with the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to sew at a 1/2 inch. Suppose I want to sew at a 3/8 of an inch. Well, I'm going to come over to the 3/8 inch stitch line and I'm going to keep it together. Okay, so these are different stitch widths and we're going to use all of them in stitching and sewing eventually. Another thing you can do if you want to practice is you can get a pair of scissors and cut your fabric like on a curve somewhat. And then practice on your 5/8 inch stitch lining up a curve with your edge. And notice how I'm guiding my fabric. Notice how I'm guiding it. I'm guiding the fabric so that it continues to turn in the direction I want it to go. That's at 5/8 of an inch. Let's see if I want this at a 1/2 inch. Same thing. Just guide the fabric. And take your time. Don't be heavy on the presser foot because if you're heavy on the presser foot, you're going to get results that look really messy until you get used to it. Okay. Let's say we want it at 3/8 of an inch. At 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's what it'll look like. So I want you to practice with this. Give me a call if you need some help. Take a picture of your finished work and send it to me on my cell phone so I can check out your work. Okay? Get ready to be masters of sewing. Thank you.